Welcome to the Fallen State. I'm Jesse Lee Peterson. I have with me a very, very interesting man. I've had him on my radio show a couple of times. Brian Werner is with me. He's a former high priest of the Satanic Temple and vocalist of the death metal band Vital Remains. Thank you so much for coming in, man.
Pleasure, man.
You're here in LA for your birthday celebration, I hear.
Yes, sir. It was my birthday yesterday, so.
How was it?
It was cool. It was very cool. We drove up the coast to Malibu and checked out the old Manson family cave, and then went down to San Diego to go see a concert, and then got to catch a movie at the Chinese theater yesterday.
Oh,
so.
Sounds nice.
Yeah,
you went to the Manson cave?
We were trying to find it, but we couldn't find it.
You admire him?
No, I just wanted to see the cave because they also used it in Batman. So.
Oh, okay. As I said in the introduction, you were the high priest of the Satanic Temple. What happened? Why did you step down?
You know, Satanism has very core fundamental principles that it follows of a very might is right philosophy of natural selection. And, you know, history is written by the victors and dead men don't argue, if you will. I noticed the Satanic Temple, a lot of the followers were just bandwagon jumpers, jumping onto the next new thing. And a lot of them carried with them very leftist, social justice warrior, tendencies that they were trying to push, and now they were codifying themselves as Satanists to be able to use the freedom of religion argument to push their own social justice agenda. As Satanists, we don't identify with right or left. We are ourselves. That kind of squabbling is beneath us, you know.
Right.
I don't want to see something that I love and respect as much like the tenets of Satanism being used to push a political agenda. And therefore, I felt the need to disavow myself from the organization.
As high priest, what did you teach?
Life is as individual as each one of us. You know, we all have our different struggles and our different plights that we're going through. So I would get somebody that would ask me questions about, you know, hey, I'm trying to become more successful in my career, in my business, and I would give them advice towards that. You know, or hey, I'm trying to, you know, save my marriage with my, you know, I'm trying to be more involved with my kids. I would try and give them advice towards that. So it really just depends. You know, the core tenets are basically individualism, creativity, personal sovereignty, rejecting arbitrary authority and casting out negative influences from your life that hinders your goals as an individual.
And on your shirt, is that 666?
Yeah, I made that.
666. And what does that represent?
The devil.
The devil.
Yeah.
And so you're an atheist, right?
I'm a Satanist.
A Satanist, not an atheist.
There's certain different sects. You have atheistic Satanists, you have other groups such as the Temple of Set, which are more theistic. You have Luciferians, you have Thelemites, you have...
That's amazing.
What I fight for the right to be left alone.
Oh,
what and how I practice inside of the sanctity of my home is my business. And it's not my job to either, you know, proselytize what I believe or to try and force others to believe what I believe.
So, just from my understanding and the audience, do you believe there's no God, right?
I believe in energy.
But there is no God.
Do I believe there is an old man up there with a beard watching over everything you do that's going to send you to hell because you were masturbating at night in your bed in the privacy of your home? No.
Amazing.
No.
Do you believe that there is a God?
No.
No God. Do you believe there is a devil?
No.
No devil. So doesn't Satan, isn't that a name for the devil?
I think Satan is a name that man gave certain forces and certain energies that work within our world. You know, things that are well beyond our pay grade and our comprehension as mortal human beings. For me, the construct of Satan as a metaphorical construct of the, I mean, if you want to take the Bible literally, you know, the angels were said to be subservient to God. They did not have the same free will as man did. Lucifer fought against that. So in a lot of ways, you can say Lucifer was the first person that fought against slavery. So we have embodied this metaphorical construct of the betrayer as a symbol of our own individualism, personal will, much like a bald eagle. You see a bald eagle, what do you think? Freedom, liberty, America. That animal doesn't actually represent that. That's the metaphorical construct that man has put into that symbol to give it meaning and purpose.
Are you 100% positive that there is no heaven or hell or God or Satan?
I'll give you the most honest answer of any human being. I don't know. I've never died before.
So you're not sure? That could be.
It could be, and there could not be. And I'll tell you what, if there is, and there is, a judgment day where I have to go stand in front of the creator of the universe and be judged, I will give him ample time to explain himself before I judge him.
Amazing. And so one thing I wanted to ask about the Satanic Temple, they believe in social justice.
You know, you see like they had some post out once upon a time where if Muslims in Minneapolis are afraid to leave their house, we will walk you to the grocery store to help out our Muslim. I'm like, are you serious? I'm like, do you realize if you were back home in their country dressed up in that little Hot Topic outfit that you're wearing right now, what they would do to you? Yep. I'm like, that's just asinine.
You have a very interesting life. That's why I like talking to you. I know I have interviewed you twice on my radio show. At one time, you were a Christian.
Catholic.
A Catholic. And during that time, during that period, you believed that there was a God.
Well, sure, but I was a very young child. I believed anything you told me. I also believed in Santa Claus and the Easter Bunny.
Right. And at what age did you change your mind about that, and what caused the change?
You know, to be honest, I believed it because I was told to believe it. You know, but deep down in my heart, I never really did. I went to parochial school for kindergarten and first grade, and they jam it down your throat real hard. And it never took with me. I went to the CCM classes on Wednesday that my parents made me go to. And again, I would just sit there and I'd have my headphone run up through my sleeve and I'd just sit there and listen to Slayer all night while the teacher was talking. Well, we need you to go do this homework. It's like, this isn't real school. You know, what are you gonna do, fail me? I'm not really in class right now. I don't wanna do this.
And so your father was, or is a born again pastor, right?
My biological father.
Right,
I've never met him, no.
You've never met your biological father?
No.
You never met him? I thought you met him once.
I talked to him on the phone once. Physically, face to face, I've never met the man, so I couldn't tell you.
Really?
No.
And so why haven't you met him?
How do I say this without being too colorful? There's certain things that were done between him and my mother before I was born that, you know, he was a very violent drunk. And my mother removed me from that situation before I was born and didn't want me growing up in that. And I'm glad that she did. And she married a gentleman when I was 2 years old, before I can remember. And he's been there for me my entire life. That is my father. That is my dad. Sometimes family is much more than blood. You know, that man stood up and he took me under his wing and treated me as his own son. And he is my dad, and I am his son.
So your father and mother were married, your natural born father. They made a baby together.
Yes.
And while she was pregnant with you, she said that he was a drunk and a violent person.
And then she went to she went back home to her grandfather's house, my grandfather's house, and my grandfather told him one time, "You ever show up here again, I'll shoot you in the head."
This is her father?
Yeah.
Right. And do you believe your mother?
Absolutely.
Why?
Unconditionally.
Why do you believe her?
I mean, number one, she's my mother, and I don't think you should ever question your parents to begin with because they always have your best interest at heart. I've spoken with the gentleman, you know, and it reconfirmed everything she had told me about him. And not to mention, there was enough other people around at the time, grandfather, parents, aunts, uncles, that all reaffirmed everything that she had said. There was no reason to ever doubt her.
But isn't it fair to your father to get his opinion, because some women will lie on the father?
Oh, no, oh, absolutely, absolutely.
So do you think it was fair to your father to just take your mother at her word?
Well, like I said, I did speak with him on the telephone.
And you asked him about all that?
Oh, yeah, and he didn't deny anything.
So you said, Dad, you are...
I didn't call him Dad.
You said Pops?
I said Donald. I call him by his proper first name.
And you said, you are a drunk abuser, blah, 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 and he said yes.
He said, yeah, and he goes, yeah, back in the day I was.
Oh, back in the day, okay.
And then he was just very, very manipulated with his Christianity. One of these typical, you know, they burn their brain out on cocaine for 30 years.
Your father did?
Yeah, you know, cocaine and alcohol for 30 years. These can't even form a coherent thought or finish a sentence, and now you want to proselytize religion to me, and no, sorry.
Do you love your father?
My stepfather.
Your real father?
My
natural father?
No.
You do not love him?
No, he's a sperm donor, nothing more.
You resent him?
No, he's just insignificant. He doesn't even exist to me.
Really?
I had a dad growing up, and I still do have a dad.
What do you do about the desire that comes sometime where you want to know your father better or wish that you had a relationship with him?
I had a relationship.
Or that things were different with your natural father? What do you do with those feelings when they come?
I have a father. Just because he was the sperm donor doesn't make him my father. My father was the guy who married my mother when I was 2 years old, that raised me for the last 35 years, who taught me the difference between right and wrong. The man who took me to every hockey practice at 5 o'clock in the morning. The man who would throw, the ball with me in the yard. The man who helped me with my homework every night. The man who taught me to shave and drive a car. So that's my father.
But in reality, he is not your father.
Physically
right.
and biologically speaking, yes.
Right. Even more so than biologically speaking. Your real father is your real father. Everything else is an imitation and not the real deal. And that's why the false or stepfather can never complete that void that's there, because they're not the real father. Only the real thing can do that.
No, I get that.
Yeah.
But I also have no desire to meet that gentleman either,
If you had a son and, you have any children?
Nope.
You don't have any children?
Nope.
What are you waiting for?
I don't know.
How old did you turn the other day?
37. 37.
Do you want to get married and have a family?
I would love to, if I could find a woman that I can tolerate for 18 years.
That you can tolerate? What type of woman would you want or looking for?
I mean, that's as unique as the person you meet. You know what I mean? You can find somebody that's the complete opposite of you, that you just find that you can't be without. And you can find somebody who you have every last thing in common with, and you just want to choke them. Right. So it's as unique as the individual. You can't put a label on chemistry.
If you had a son and something went wrong with you and the mother before he was born, and even though you didn't like the mother, but you love your child, would you want your child to come to you and work it out?
Absolutely. I've actually been in that situation recently. I was dating a young woman, and she got pregnant right before I went on tour. And she decided, against all of my opposition and begging and pleading, to terminate the pregnancy while I was on tour in Germany. I was due to be home in about 7 days, and she couldn't even wait the 7 days, and that turned into just World War III. Yeah. I had even offered to her that, move in with me, I will pay all of your medical bills, I will pay everything, I will assume the role as a single dad. When the child is born, you can sign over whatever waivers or whatever you want. Just, I'm open to any option on the table that doesn't involve killing the child. And unfortunately that wasn't, she came back with this liberal mindset of, well, you don't have a choice in the matter. I'm like, well, I'd like to think that I do, because half of that child inside of you is mine.
Yes, that's right.
If I could carry it to term, I would, but I didn't, write the laws on biology.
Yeah.
So.
And just imagine how painful that was for you. Imagine what your natural father is missing and thinking about you. You feel the same way, even more so.
Yeah, he was too busy doing cocaine and fixing horse races and going to prison.
Do you, what would be wrong with going to him and forgiving him? And
well, he's no longer alive. So.
Oh, he's dead now?
Yeah, he's dead now.
Do you wish at all that you had worked it out a little bit before he expired?
No. Like I said, I had 2 or 3 conversations with him, as a matter of fact. And our last conversation ended with, I had just been coming out of jail for a misdemeanor marijuana possession, nothing major. And he made the statement to me of, well, you think you can come in and out of my life whenever you want? I'm like, dude, I'm 24 years old. I've never seen you before. I'm like, here, let me make this real easy for you. Click. That was the last time I ever spoke with him. I'm
sorry to hear that. Do you realize you're never going to have peace until you can forgive him?
No, well, how can you forgive somebody that just doesn't exist? That person's never existed to me. He's never been in my life.
But he does exist. He's just inside of you.
Yeah.
That's why you still have that longing for him, because you are him. He is you. You guys are one together. And
yeah, but I mean, would you say the same thing to a child that was born, that was conceived through a rape?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Even in a rape case, that father is still that child's father. Well, it's an unfortunate situation, but that connection to and desire for the father is still there, even if it was by way of rape.
Sure, but however do you want to, meet that father and then facilitate, some of the same, obvious problems that the father would have if he was a rapist? You don't want that, the sins of the father falling onto the child.
But until you forgive your father by realizing he can help himself, you will repeat it. The same thing, over and over. That's why.
No, and you're exactly right. I've noticed it. It's one of the reasons I don't drink alcohol. He was a very violent drunk. His brother, my uncle, was implicated in murdering his first wife, and then was actually convicted and sentenced of murdering his second wife.
Right.
His 2 sons were, you know, killed a couple people in a robbery. You know, again, all whiskey. That's one of the reasons I don't drink alcohol.
But you're still not going to be able to stop it until you forgive him, so that the spirit can change.
Yeah,
so
I'm a Satanist. I'm not big on forgiveness.
You're not big on
I'm not big on forgiveness.
So you're not going to forgive the woman that aborted your child?
Oh, no, I'll take that one with me to my grave.
Really? At one time, and it was wrong. If you know, and I believe you. I don't hear her side of the story, but if you're telling the truth, it was wrong. But why hold on to bitterness? What good is that doing you?
Hold on to your hate. It'll help you stay focused.
On what?
Well, see, you have to balance, man. You can't have, I love everything, I forgive everything. That's not a healthy way to live. And on the flip side of that coin, it's not okay to say, I hate this and I hate this, and you want to kill everything. Neither one spectrum or the other is good to be. Yeah, you have to have balance between the two.
But if you want to be free and you want total control of your own life, not being influenced by that stuff, you have to forgive. It makes you stronger. You're able to do your thing.
Forgive the ones that deserve your forgiveness. You know, some woman that murdered, you know, what was supposed to be my child is definitely not, you know, should be a recipient of my forgiveness.
Amazing.
You know?
But she has issues too. That's why she did it. And,
well, sure.
You know, wouldn't you want to be forgiven if you had done something that you know is wrong?
If I was truly remorseful for it.
Right.
But I mean, if she's not even remorseful for it, why should I grant amnesty?
At one time, you did drugs, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah, I did my share and your share and her share and his share. I did a lot. And
why?
The euphoric feeling of doing drugs. It wasn't for any sort of compensating, or it was you try. You're like, wow, that was really cool. I enjoyed that. But I quit doing hard street narcotics many years ago, in 1997. I still smoke marijuana every day. Every day? Every day.
Did you smoke some today?
Not yet.
Not yet.
We're waiting for the ride to the airport. I got some edibles in the car.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, your lovely California marijuana laws here have taken care of me.
So you support those marijuana laws? You think?
I mean, as a Christian, man, I mean, you could you know, agree that, you know, hey, God made weed, man made beer. Who do you trust?
But God made man.
Yeah,
that made the beer.
Yeah, well, you know, he made that plant just fine as is.
And so you say you started doing drugs because it gave you that feeling, that good feeling.
Yeah, I was an adrenaline junkie. I like roller coasters and jumping out of airplanes, anything for a rush, you know. So when I tried LSD and it sent me to another dimension, I was like, well, that was interesting. Let's do that again. You know, the drugs are only a problem when you are addicted to them and you rely on them and you need them and they control you, not you control it. You know, I rarely see anybody that's highly addicted to LSD like they are heroin or crack cocaine, or, you know, mushrooms or peyote or ayahuasca. These aren't street drugs that are robbing and stealing stores to be able to get your fix. You know, coke, crack, heroin, sure, we all know the detriments of those drugs. And as a Satanist, we believe in enhancing your life and using whatever tools, you know, bring you happiness.
Why is it that you don't have natural happiness or peace?
Oh, I do. I don't need drugs. Like
I said, you said as a Satanist, that's why you do it, to bring happiness.
Well, for marijuana is a medical for me. You know, I have attention deficit disorder.
Oh, sure. That's what they all say.
Oh, yeah. Well, you know, I have.
My back hurt. I need a little marijuana.
Yeah. No, I don't do it for pain. I do it for my mind. You know, when I was a kid, I had ADD, severe cases. You know, and they had me on nortriptyline and Pamelor and Ritalin. And
wow.
I still had D's and F's in school. And when I started smoking weed, my grades went from D's and F's to A's and B's. I could sit in a chair for more than 20 minutes without fidgeting. I could stay focused and stay on task. And it was an all-natural remedy to me, that, as opposed to the horrific side effects of the pharmaceutical drugs they were prescribing me.
So was it tough for you growing up with your mother and stepfather? And that's what brought all this on?
No. I mean, we had our problems like anybody else, but, you know, a lot of that same resentment that you were referring to about not knowing I mean, yeah, that definitely manifested when I was 13, 14, 15 years old. But, you know, I came down off my cross, I used the wood, and I built a bridge, and I got over it.
You know, it's interesting, even though it sounded like your stepfather was a pretty decent man, right?
Yeah.
He was?
Yeah.
Were there things you didn't like about him?
Yeah, but I'll keep that off camera. You know, that's for me and him to work out, you know. Right. We're in a very good place right now.
Have you noticed that even though he was a decent man, you had your ups and downs, inside of you, you never really accepted him, even though you say it with your mouth, with words, but in your soul, you never accepted him as your real father.
Actually, I think it was the opposite. I think inside I accepted him fully, but through my mouth, I said the opposite.
Amazing.
So
and why?
It was kind of back, because again, I never knew anything else, man. You know, he was my dad. You know, I mean, I didn't remember a time that he wasn't there. You know, I mean, how much do you remember before you were 2 years old?
Right.
Nothing.
The drugs that you used, did they control you at any point?
Nah.
You always had control over your drugs.
I always did.
So if you wanted to stop doing marijuana or any kind of drugs, can you just stop?
Yeah.
You could stop?
Yeah, even nicotine, if I wanted to.
So you smoke cigarettes too?
No, I vape now. I don't smoke cigarettes anymore.
Do you know what it's like to not be high off anything?
Oh, yeah.
But just feel life and feel the pain and live your life?
For me, marijuana is kind of like you waking up in the morning having a cup of coffee. Now, if I go up to somebody that had never had a cup of coffee before, I give them coffee, they're going to be jacked up and jitter. But for guys like me and you that have our morning coffee every day, you drink your coffee and you just kind of feel, that's what marijuana is to me. I don't get high.
How many cups of marijuana do you have a day?
How much weed do I smoke? That's a tough question. Pretty much from the second I wake up to the second I go to bed. So.
Amazing. You lost a friend. A friend of yours expired, right?
I lost a lot of friends recently, man. I lost my drummer. I lost Tony Lorenzo in Buffalo, who was shot and killed. Adam Sagan, my old drummer and very close friend of many years. When I talked to you, Adam had just passed away from lymphoma. And then 2 days after Adam died, a mutual friend of mine at Adams, Travis Ernst, killed himself.
Amazing.
2 days before Christmas. So.
How do you handle all that death around you like that? With
well,
close friends?
I'd like to say that that's just the first time I've dealt with it. Unfortunately, I've been to almost 20 funerals in the last 2 years. Yeah, everybody that was my close inner circle is now gone. You handle it by just dealing with it. You don't have a choice.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like something where you can say, well, I'm going to do this. You have no choice. You have to go on. You know, there's 3 truths to this life, 3 inevitable truths that transcend race, religion, color, or creed. Number 1, you will never be any younger than you are today. Today is the youngest day of your life. Number 2, we all die. It's not a question of if. It's a question of when and how. Once in a while, you get a why. You know, why did this person die? Well, he was an asshole. He robbed the wrong person. He got shot.
Right.
You know, and then the last one is we all die twice. Once when your physical body dies, and once when the last person on this earth who remembered your name dies.
Amazing. So where do you think your friends went to once they died? What happened to them?
Again, I don't know. You know, and this is where I come head to head with religious people, and even in the satanic culture. You know, I don't understand the level of ego behind people to be able to stand in front of another human being and tell that person what is going to happen to them when they die, when they have never experienced it themselves. You know, it's all speculation. It's all conjecture.
I agree with that. I hear people say, oh, I know they went to heaven. How do you know? We don't really know. You wish, you know, you hope for, but you don't really know.
Like George Carlin said, you know, your dad's in heaven, hell is full of dads. Yeah. We never know what Dad was getting into.
What do you do when you get lonely, when you feel lonely, like nobody loves you, you don't love nobody, and nobody loves you?
Clean my guns.
Clean your guns.
I'm joking. I got my Rottweilers, man. You know, dogs give me purpose. I love animals. I love all animals. There's just a sort of innocence with dogs. You know, there's an unconditional love that's there.
Do they give you a greater love than a human being can give you?
Oh, absolutely.
Really?
Absolutely.
What does a dog love feel like?
When's the last time a dog lied to you?
Oh, I see. So they don't lie to you.
When's the last time a dog stole from you? When's the last time a dog did anything to you other than be happy that you're home?
That's amazing. So many people have died around you, your friends. Does that make you wonder about your own life, like your days are numbered too?
Oh, there's not a day that I don't wake up that I don't think about my own death.
So when you're thinking of death in your life, what are you thinking exactly?
I'm thinking, I don't want to waste any more time.
Because you might be dying soon?
Well, just in general, you know, I mean, I could walk right out those doors later today and, you know, get hit by a car and check out like that. And what's the first thing, and if that were to happen, what would be the first thing I said to myself? I wish I would have done this. I wish I wouldn't have wasted so much time here. I wish I would have been more focused here.
What is the purpose of doing so much before you die? Why you have to do so much?
Well, again, we all die twice. You know, once when you die, once the last person on this earth remembers your name dies.
So
therein lies your immortality. And once my physical being ends, I want to, you know, like all humans, we want to make sure that our existence was significant and was meaningful and that impacted people's lives. And then more importantly, that when I was here, I made the most of my time to be remembered for future generations.
Are you impacting other people's lives?
Sometimes.
Sometimes you are?
Sometimes.
And
I'm just glad you didn't say positive, because sometimes I impact them negatively.
Oh, you do? So you're doing it both ways?
Yeah, it depends. I mean, you know, I don't want to help my enemies.
How do you know when you're impacting their life for the good?
When, you know, obviously, you know, when they come back and they tell you, you know, and I get a lot of that at shows and concerts that we play.
What do they say to you? Give me an example of what they say.
You know, thank you. You know, your music inspired me to be a musician. You know, I get a lot of stuff from people all the time. You know, hey, you know, your sermons and stuff like that have inspired me to start my own business and to take more control of my life and to be more, switch the way of thinking from being a reactive person to being a proactive person.
What's the purpose of your music?
That's an interesting one. You want the real answer, or you want the Showtime answer?
No, I want the real answer. Yeah.
I mean, for me, you know, there's certain fights and struggles in life that are just going to frustrate you. Religion, politics, you know, things that are much bigger than yourself that you as an individual will never be able to change. And you see the struggle, and it gets you very frustrated. It gets you, binds you up a little bit, and you have to have a release for that. You know, for me, it's death metal. I go to practice, I scream it out at the top of my lungs as hard as I can, and then I sit back and I go, I can feel better now, you know.
Oh, I see.
And so for me, it's a release. And then there's the connection when you play live of having that energy with the crowd where we don't ever have this mentality of, oh, we're rock stars and it's us and you guys. No, the first thing I tell the crowd is, our stage is your stage. You want to come up here and jump off and have a good time? It's not us and you, it's all of us together. We're all one metal family. That's
amazing. And do you sing about satanic stuff?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you do?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I don't think we have a song that's not about that.
Really?
Hammer Down the Nails, Dechristianize, Icons of Evil, Shrapnel Embedded Flesh, Unleashed Hell, Devoured Elysium,
wow.
Savior to None, Failure for All, I Am God.
Do you come up with this yourself, or do you have a writer?
No, the band was around for about 20 years before I ever joined.
Oh, I see.
You know, so a lot of the songs were pre-existing to me coming into the band.
Amazing.
So.
Do you have love?
Oh, of course, absolutely.
And you love others?
Absolutely.
Do you love yourself?
Absolutely.
And
probably too much.
In what way?
I put myself first above everything, just like every Satanist should. Self-preservation is the highest law. You know, only love those people that are deserving of. The Bible had the right idea, but it got it backwards. The Bible says, you know, treat others as you want others to treat you.
Right.
It's halfway there. Treat others as others treat you.
So they're nasty to you, you're nasty to them.
If someone treats you with dignity, love, kindness, and respect, and it may be somebody of a varying religious belief, then complete polar opposite, like yourself. You've done nothing but show me kindness and respect, and therefore I portray it back to you.
What's your impression of me?
I like you.
You like me?
Know?
Why?
I mean, we have a lot of the same principles and values, you know, even though we couldn't be more distinctly different, but, you know, we have hold a lot of the same principles of, you know, free enterprise and, you know, a lot of the same conservative values, which is funny because I never thought in a million years I would ever hear myself say I'd be siding with a conservative.
Yeah, me too. I was surprised.
But, you know, as a business owner myself, you know, I work hard. I work a lot harder than most. I want to keep what I earn. I think the government should stay out of my business, you know.
Yeah.
You know, the
so you don't support abortion and same-sex marriage and none of that stuff, right?
Well, you know, here's the thing. Yeah, I do.
You do support?
I support the right of the individual to make the choice that best suits their life.
Oh, I see. But you don't think, personally, you don't think it's the right thing to do?
For me, well, if you don't like gay marriage, don't have one. Nobody's got a gun to your head saying to go have, you know, a gay marriage.
But you don't personally support, I mean,
I've been
you're
asked to
not
officiate.
against it if someone else wants to do it, but personally you're not for it.
No, I'm not homosexual, you know, so no, I would never have a gay marriage, but I have homosexual friends that are very close to me that I was actually supposed to officiate their wedding.
Oh, yeah?
I support gun rights for gay married couples. You know, so I'm a little bit all over the spectrum on this one.
So you do marriages, you perform weddings?
I can, and last rites, and baptisms, and all sorts of things.
So you do hold one day that you can have a family, wife and children, and what reason do you want that?
Everybody wants to have their legacy,
yeah.
You know, and for most of us, our legacy lies within procreation.
The type of people that are attracted to your music, are they coming from broken homes and they lack of love? And
it couldn't be more across the spectrum. Our demographic is 18 to 60, Asian, European, South American, white and black, you know, Christian, atheist, satanic, Muslim. You know, I mean, our genre could really not be more spread out. Heavy metal is really one of those genres that transcends everything.
What is a man?
A human being with a penis. No. You know, somebody that carries himself with, you know, you have two things in this world, your word and your balls. So to me, a man is somebody that carries himself with honor, integrity, dignity, respect, you know, somebody who protects what's his, you know, somebody who defends his family, defends his home, defends his country.
Have you ever met or seen a real man?
Yeah, my father.
Your stepfather?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Milo, is he acting out part of his personality, or does he really feel that way?
Oh no,
he act like Milo, real gay.
Milo is what you see is what you get. What you see is what you get.
Yeah.
That's why I love him. You know?
I like his conservative values. That's for sure.
You know, every time he speaks, I sit at home and I stand up and I cheer and I start clapping.
What is it that you like about him that causes you to do that? To stand up and applaud when you hear him?
A lot of these social justice themes that you can say is feminism, you know, equality. You know, I support equality amongst the races and amongst the sexes. I mean, I don't think you can be an adult in 2017 and not agree with those things. You know, when they take it too far and the reins need to be pulled back a little bit, you know, he's the one to do it.
Okay.
You know, because we all know how the left is, where any time that they start losing an argument based on facts and evidence, they're like a little child that takes his ball and wants to go home. They just start throwing around wild accusations of racism, sexism, homophobia. And none of them stick to Milo. He's pretty much bulletproof on every single one of those points.
That's right.
So it's nice to see a champion for somebody like us that can stand up, take the shots, and not have them affect them. And
you were not always a conservative, right? You became one after a period of time.
You know, I think the whole spectrum shifted, where I have stayed a centrist my whole life, not right. I'm right in the middle, and then you know you see the balance shifting from one side to the other. And even though I'm sitting here a stick in the mud, now all of a sudden, you know, I was on the left in the 90s, and now the whole spectrum's kind of swung back the other way, the pendulum, if you will. And all of a sudden, you know, my views and opinions and nothing has changed, but I'm all of a sudden finding myself on the other side of the spectrum for no reason than to staying the course.
Let's say you met a woman that you would like to marry. She seemed like a good woman. Would it be easy for her to live and deal with you?
Yes and no. Yeah. I'd like to say so if it was a future woman, but you go back and ask any of my exes and they'll be like, hell no.
Right. What is difficult about you that a woman could not be able to handle?
Women like to do this. And it's always the most superficial, mundane, meaningless bullshit. And you're just sitting there going, oh God, just shut up. Shut up, I don't care, I don't care. Yeah, honey, yeah, it sounds great. Yeah, okay, great. New shoes. Wonderful. Let's add them to the 1,000 more you got back there you put on my credit card. Awesome. Susan? Oh, okay. Well, you know, I went to dinner with Becky, and Becky brought Susan, and she knows I don't like Susan. And the whole time, you're just trying to think of this argument. The only thing I can think of is putting the barrel of a gun in my mouth. And just like, and the whole time, you know, I don't know how profane we can get, but the whole time I'm just politely like trying to like find an exit strategy to the conversation. And, you know, and I can't do it. And the only thing I can think of is shut the up. Shut the up. And it usually doesn't last. The relationship pretty much goes downhill after that.
Amazing. So what is a woman?
Estrogenical treachery. A big bag of lies, deceit, manipulation, deception, and seduction.
Amazing.
No,
Wow.
I'm just joking. That's just, the men are from Mars, women from Venus, spectrum. I mean, to me, a woman isn't supposed to be, this is going to come out all wrong too, and I know I'm going to get a ton of crap for this. I don't see men and women as equal. For the same reason, cats and dogs aren't equal. They're two different species. They can't even be compared on the same spectrum. I did not write the rules of biology to make you the giver of life. So therefore, in my opinion, a woman, an adult woman's primary role, if families are choice, is to be a mother. The mother is, to quote the Crow, the mother is the name of God on the lips of hearts of all children. So it's not your job to be out there swinging a hammer, sitting in board. It's your job to be a mother and raise the children. Every child, what's one of the first words they always learn? Mommy. That's the one that keeps them safe, the one that the child is always going to go to first.
What went wrong? At one time we knew this in America, and women were okay with being a wife and a mother and being a woman, and the man was okay with being a husband, father, being a man. What went wrong to change that?
I have no idea, and I ask myself that question every day. I mean, don't get me wrong. If a woman wants to have a job and a career, and she should have those opportunities. I'm not saying that shouldn't not be anything equal, but to quote Bill Burr, well, why does a man get paid more money than to do the same job as a woman? I'll tell you why. In the event that there's some sort of house fire or some sort of ship that's sinking, for some screwed up reason, you get to leave with the kids, and I got to stay. So I get $1 more an hour. It's a surcharge. Because I gotta throw myself in front of something to give you the head start. There's no feminists in a house fire. They trade in their combat boots for a pair of pigtails, and they come running out going, I'm just a girl.
Last thing, you endorsed President Trump.
Yes.
You did, and why?
Because I'm so sick of these politicians, and he makes whiny people so sad.
I know.
It's amazing, to see the people that I just can't stand crying in the streets.
I have to agree.
It just brings such joy to my cold, dead black heart, and I'm so sick and tired of if for nothing else, if he doesn't fix anything, it's a game changer. It's a curveball to let the establishment know that the people are and always will still be in charge.
Yes.
If anything, if he breaks everything, well, cool. Well, then maybe we can rebuild it in a positive direction, but you have to break it first. So is he the man to rebuild it? I don't know, but he's definitely the man to break it.
You don't support Islam, right?
No.
You hate that?
I hate all world religion.
You hate all world religion. You hate Christianity too?
Oh yeah. Well, I'm a Satanist. Of course I do. I support science, man.
Oh, I see.
I believe religion is speculation. Science is fact. And science may not have all of the answers right now, but what science does is it asks the question, and it asks for proof, it asks for evidence. And even though we may not have the answers now, it doesn't mean that through trial and error we can't find the answers out later in the future.
So have you ever said to yourself, like in the quiet or privacy of your own self in your own room, God, if you really exist, reveal that to me?
Yeah, I did that when I was a kid. It didn't work.
It did not work.
Yeah, for the same reason that, praying to a gallon of milk isn't, when you read Christianity.com, it says that God answers all questions in the form of yes, no, or wait.
It does.
What other answer is there? I get the same response by praying to this coffee cup.
Well, the one thing I know for sure, and of course God can do what he wants, but the one thing I know for sure, all human beings who don't love their earthly fathers cannot love God. And it keeps you away from knowing God because the Father represents that. He may be a poor example of it, but when you don't love your natural-born earthly father, then it's difficult, impossible to love God because you got to forgive your earthly father before you can get to know God.
Yeah, but see, to me, that's like saying if you don't love your mother, you can't love Santa Claus.
That's true. I really enjoyed talking to you.
Appreciate you having me on.
Did you have fun?
Yeah, it's nice to meet you face to face.
Yeah, sure is.
And actually have a real conversation this time instead of via Skype with the thing going in and out on us like last time.
I know you have a book coming out at some point. When you do, I want you to come back.
Yeah, it's called The Satanic Reformation.
Oh man, what a title.
Yeah, it's and then when it's done, I may find the heads of all the satanic organizations in the world and go to their house and nail a copy of it to their front door like Martin Luther.
Fallen State.
Who is Jesus? Who was Jesus? They talk about him as though he was a weak person. He didn't stand up and fight back.
No, in fact, he was a man that said, if you follow me, you won't get healthy and wealthy. You'll have trials and tribulation.
Yeah.
They try to conform him to their political agenda instead of us conforming ourselves to Jesus Christ.
I am so excited. I can't believe it. Finally, the Fallen State merchandise is here. Look at this beautiful shirt. We have red, white, and black. Comfortable, I like the fit. Really nice t-shirts. And we have mugs. The Fallen State mug. On the back it says, did you have fun? Did you have fun? A gift. Excellent gifts, both. This is a great way for you to help us. Can you imagine your friends seeing you with this at the office, at the park, in your home? You're gonna love it. Order them now, go to thefallenstate.tv. Thank you so much, I appreciate it. Thanks for watching The Fallen State. We need your continued support. Donate to my nonprofit here. Subscribe and like the videos here. And tell everybody and their mama about the show.